2,203 subscribers. Now, that may not sound like a lot to you, but to me, it represents years upon years of work and effort I've put into this channel. A lot of mistakes as well. This channel, I started it during one of the darkest periods of my life, where I really needed something to hold on to as a creative outlet and as a source of pride for me. This channel that started out as first an anime channel, and then it became a manga channel, and then it became an anime channel again, and now I've made the daring, bold leap into talking about JRPGs. Ultimately, what I want to do with this video is really review a lot of my mistakes, a lot of the trials and tribulations, and what they've taught me about being a content creator and making things and just generally being creative as a person all around. This is going to be kind of messy and unscripted, so bear with me. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the Gate is Dumb series that I made. It's a series about this fantasy isekai series about the JSDF, Japanese Self-Defense Force, going to a fantasy world and destroying everything with their modern technology. I thought nobody would give a shit because it's this like B-list show that nobody really talks about from 2016. Holy shit, was I wrong. They cared so much more than I could ever have imagined, and they fucking hated me because I was critical of it. I was critical of the show's jingoism and its clear, I guess, sucking off of the JSDF by having the fantasy army essentially just like run into them like a meat grinder. But the way I went about it in certain points of the first video, I felt like was a little bit not that great in terms of clarity. Now, this will be my very first point as far as something that I learned is just how important it is when you're making analysis or just any sort of criticism to be very clear about what you mean when you're saying something, or to communicate in a very direct way. In the video, I went about describing my frustration with the fantasy army versus JSDF fight scenes by saying, or rather by using diagrams showing Roman formations, because the fantasy army is heavily influenced by Roman aesthetics. So I figured, hey, why aren't they doing any of this cool like fucking formation shit we've seen with like the Romans? Why are they just charging at the JSDF guys and like murdering as many people? It just feels like obviously our writer wanted something to have, like, they wanted the empire, this mythical empire, to have the aesthetic of the Romans, but he didn't put any effort into actually making them like the Romans as far as their military strategy goes, right? You look at how disorganized the main force is, and to give you an idea of what actual Roman military strategy was like, I'll read you a little passage from romanmilitary.net. So at the very top of the page, when you get on the site, it has a little paragraph called Formations of the Legion. The entire formation of the Roman infantry tactics was the idea that by keeping troops in order, one could fight more effectively. Where's the fucking magic? You know, stuff like that would make these fights so much more interesting to watch. And that's at the core of what I was trying to say, is that I found the fights to be boring and uninteresting. It's such a unique and fun idea, like a fantasy army fighting a modern military, but these fights become really just uninteresting disasters to make the JSDF look as good as possible. And in the spirit of clarity, I will say once again, I have nothing against the JSDF. My issue with Gate stems purely from an executional standpoint. Now, moving on to mistake number 2, and that is consistency. Now, this may not be alarming to you, viewer-kun, but the gaps between my videos are wider than fucking Raisa's thighs, if you know what I'm saying. Just look at the gap between my Rex video and my JRPG racism video. That is months, dude. Months. I've been thinking long and hard about a possible solution to this, because generally a big issue or a big reason why this is happening is just my brain being inundated with trying to make a video as likely to succeed for the almighty, all-powerful algorithm as humanly possible, but you lose out on a lot of things by trying so hard to be successful in the algorithm. A lot of your joy as a creator kind of just goes up in smokes because you're so concerned with what can or what will pop off rather than what do I want to make? What do I think is fun? What do I think people will have fun with? See, I'm doing it right the fuck now. I'm doing it right the fuck now, right? Also, outside of just like upload consistency, a big thing that people overlook when it comes to the concept of consistency is just sticking to and figuring out, okay, what is my channel about? What do I want to consistently make stuff about? What do I want to talk about consistently? And what is the type of content I want to make regularly on this channel? If I make a video that is about exploring a real life jungle and then another video right after that that is just randomly about playing Monster Hunter Wilds, great game by the way, having fun with that, those two things are pretty fucking distinct and very unrelated, and you're gonna like confuse people. Honing in on that can be a challenge, but I also think it's super important, and it's probably the biggest lesson I've been learning over the last couple of months, to be perfectly honest. Now, this last point I want to explain is a little bit more obtuse and weird. Some of you may not consider this to be a mistake, but I think of it kind of this way as a sort of reminder of what I need to have, and it's more of a mentality mistake. I'll use a video here as an example of this, as it's kind of crept up back and forth in my mind over and over again as I've been on this journey as a creator. And that is forgetting that no matter what you make, no matter what you do, there's always gonna be fucking people who don't like it, who are probably gonna fucking hate your guts for making it. Even if it's the most room temperature ass fucking take, just the way you present it can be enough to set them off. And the video I'll use as an example of this is my Rex video that recently came out. The video itself is just a defense of the character of Rex, which was kind of hoed constantly when Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out. Rex is actually the perfect hero for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, without a doubt. The reason he gets so much hate stems from people's toxic masculine expectations, which bleed over into how they think about male characters. This especially negatively impacts teenage boy characters that are depicted in a realistic way. And I got a lot of negativity initially when the video dropped from a lot of people who hated Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or didn't like the way I marketed the video with the whole Rex Giga Chad Alpha Sigma Big Cock MC marketing that I use, which is mainly just me fucking around, right? But some people found that distasteful. In fact, I had one commenter distinctly tell me that I should never make another Xenoblade video with this kind of title and thumbnail. Of course, I took offense to that because it's like, who the fuck is this guy telling me what the hell to do? And I was initially a little upset about the response, but after a while I thought about it and I realized it's like, no matter what the fuck you do, there's gonna be people who are not gonna feel it. They're not gonna feel what you're trying to do. They're not gonna feel your message. They're gonna have a problem with the way you present the video, with something you said. Maybe you didn't explain one of your points well enough. Like, clarity was also a big thing with this video. But if you hyper fixate on perfection and with trying to please everyone, you're just never gonna fucking make videos. You're gonna hyper fixate. You're gonna worry about how people are gonna respond to what you make, and you're never going to make things, and you're gonna slow down your production. Kind of like what happened with my channel as far as just the huge gap between videos in general. But yeah, I still stand by everything I said in that video, and ultimately it was actually a pretty fun one to make at the end of the day, even if it took long as fuck. But yeah, that's the video. It's a little bit more rambly than usual because this is my first unscripted video in quite some time. I just wanted a way to sort of like get these thoughts out and sort of do a little bit of a review, you know, stop and smell the flowers and think back on the channel and some of the things I've learned along this path. And hopefully maybe this helps you in any kind of way if you're somebody who makes things or creates videos or whatever the fuck. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I will see you hopefully with another analysis soon.